Now, when we talk to our cyber expert, Alex Zaharov-Reutt, in the middle of the week each week, we so often talk about cyber attacks and hacking because it's just become prolific, dangerous, horrific for so many account holders with some of the big insurance companies and financial investment firms, all that information being sent out. If you're lucky on the dark web, but if not, for everyone to see. Well, sometimes cyber criminals can be used for good. And there's a story from the Epoch Times today that I had to tell you about because it does fascinate me. The story goes, they are hooded cyber criminals in dark basements trying to crack your bank account PIN. They are insidious Russians stealing elections from offshore IP addresses. These are typically how we think of hackers. But Ryan Montgomery, also dubbed Zero Day, is different. He is what's called a white hat hacker or ethical hacker. He's 29, cyber prodigy from Pennsylvania. He went from causing mischief online to helping authorities dismantle child predator networks. Good on him. His stepping out from the shadows into the light was spurred on by a text message he received from a distressed friend in 2020. But his journey into cyberspace began much earlier. Montgomery began hacking almost in the womb in the days of Napster and AOL at age 11. 11, he started. The web landscape looked far different then. You couldn't just Google it and go from zero to hero, mastering cyber skills like today. It was chat rooms and just who knew who, Montgomery told the Epoch Times. Asking questions, and not just asking questions, but asking the right questions. It was having the mindset of a hacker, he added, where you want to take something apart and put it back together and make it do something it wasn't supposed to do. Ultimately, hackers look beyond the graphical user interface, or GUI, to figure out how to exploit a system or software. But his heart was good. He would use his tech-savvy skill set to protect businesses by creating his own cybersecurity firm with his partners. Smart. Getting a text from said friend in late 2020, a switch flipped in his brain. And with unbridled fervour, he set about clandestinely dogging a depraved network preying on children. The hacker would have justice. Montgomery stared at his phone in shock and felt sick to the stomach. He was at a friend's house when he got the text and probably would have lost his lunch were it not still morning. Please, this is an all pedo site sharing videos of little girls talking about how they raped and abused children. It read, it continued, felt sick after reading that stuff on his website. These people all need to be found. There was a link to the website, rapey.co. There were screenshots of kids in bathing suits, and I won't go into what was said or what the descriptions were, but it is off. About as off as you can get. In that instant, Montgomery was triggered. Leaving his friend's house, he got on the website and found a way to exfiltrate data en masse, collecting usernames, incriminating threads, and descriptions of acts beyond the pale. How good's this bloke? Day in and day out he worked until he had a compelling stockpile of evidence. He did not lift photos from the site as he knew that was illicit material, so he protected himself. But there's ample ammunition in hand. He contacted NCMEC, which is the National Centre for Missing and Exploited Children, via their child pornography cyber tip line and sent over the damning database. He said, I never heard anything from them. He said, though he found it ironic what recently came out in a press release shortly after his hacking, there were arrests. From around September to December 2020, there were prominent members of the website rapey.su who were sentenced, convicted, turned up in court. A group of them. After getting noticed on Instagram, they were contacted by like-minded parties whose undercover network of journalists penetrate deep and wide. And all of a sudden, he was joined by others. 500 people were outed. 100% guaranteed there are people behind the usernames. The hacker has his ways of knowing, though certain things he's not allowed to talk about. But Montgomery learned the man who ran the website, Nathan Larson, had also been arrested. He was arrested with a 12-year-old girl at a layover that he kidnapped and raped. That did make the news, as Larson was a well-known politician who ran for Congress twice and advocated legalising child pornography. He has since died in prison, and may he rot in hell. My words, not his. But Montgomery was spurred on, and that is what he's doing to this very day. Dateline to catch a predator. Sometimes, you come across these stories and you think to yourself, what great ammunition, what great weaponry we could use if we could harness the skills and deviousness of a cyber hacker, a cyber criminal, for good. And I'm sure there are, members of these groups that do work for federal agencies, or maybe work on their own, as Montgomery is doing with others, to crack these codes and crack these creeps. You'd only hope there were more of them. And that brings me to Mark Wahlberg. Bringing forth Hollywood's culture of putting power over morality and ethics, Mark Wahlberg has this week declared war on the evil being within the entertainment industry, which is now being accused of child trafficking. Making hundreds of people aware of the issue at a Sunday school meeting in LA, Wahlberg warned people about possible bad news in the near future. Now, he's known for being a religious person, Mark Wahlberg, with high ethics and morals. He discussed the evil that has been lurking in Hollywood during a Sunday school meeting in LA, while highlighting the issue of sexual abuse inflicted by power-hungry people on young and ambitious women. The actor mentioned the current issue of child trafficking in Hollywood. Giving out inside information from the industry, Mark Wahlberg warned the congregation about receiving bad news in the coming months or years about pedophilia. According to the actor, Hollywood has become a huge network for child trafficking, pedophilia, and prostitution. Wahlberg believes the culture of silence in the industry has become so dominant that sick freaks, his words, are controlling the network with ease and without interference. However, speaking about pedophilia, the actor mentioned how it is considered among heinous crimes and must be punishable by death. He further mentioned Jim Caviezel and Mel Gibson for being the heroes in the industry for raising awareness about the elitists' penchant for pedophilia, bringing out inside details from Hollywood's Christmas parties where powerful elitists engaged in satanic rituals to torture and sexually abuse children. Now, failing to accept the scourge of elite pedophiles in Hollywood, Mark Wahlberg declared war against the perpetrators while making people aware of the crimes happening in the industry. Tracking down the monsters from the entertainment industry, the actor mentioned Hollywood pedophiles have nowhere left to hide. These are his words. They have nowhere left to hide. He's obviously been quite motivated by what Jim and Mel have done. Being a man of faith, who often attends Mass and regularly visits the church, Wahlberg failed to fathom the atrocities. We are hunting these evil sons of bitches down and taking them out one blood-drinking pedophile at a time, he stated. He didn't hold back. He discussed an horrific incident where he was asked to stop being a prude and join the club, where Hollywood executives performed satanic rituals and drank blood high on adrenochrome by sexually abusing two very, very young children. Without mentioning names to avoid open wrath, the actor spoke from the standpoint of being a father. I am a father, he said, and all I could think about was that these two children should have been safe at home with their parents. He mentioned waging war against the monsters. Several other celebrities joined Wahlberg to expose the pedophiles from the heart of Hollywood. And I won't go into what others have said in support of what he is saying, but it's so good that those in Hollywood are standing up to this stuff. I don't know how widespread it is. I don't live in that social subculture. Maybe we've got listeners who know about it. formerly, presently. I'd love to get your call if you'd like to be part of the conversation today. Here are our numbers. You can dial in from the US or Canada on 1-888-201-6425. From the UK, 033 0024 1026. And from Australia and New Zealand, let's hear you on the talkback lines, 1-800-670-310, 1-800-670-310. As I always say to my listeners, write these numbers down, even if you don't intend to call today, because there will be a day when you'll want to get something off your chest and have your say on some of the issues that I put on the table. So do it now. Put it in your smartphone. I'll just repeat that Australian-New Zealand number in particular, 1-800-670-310. As you've been hearing right across our programs on TNT 24/7 and also in our news bulletins, we have been nominated, that's TNT Radio, in the category of Most Trusted Broadcast Media for the first annual American Liberty Awards, which will be held in Austin, Texas on August the 12th. You can support us. Yes, the public votes, which is a great thing. So if you'd like to do that, you are most welcome. Voting is on now. It goes through until July the 18th. I've had a number of listeners send me messages either through social media or our website address and say that they have nominated TNT Radio. Thank you so much. It's one vote per person, by the way, so you've got to hurry. But every single person and organisation on the list, they say, stands out as a beacon of truth in the darkness of lies, and that's all we intend to do here at TNT Radio. So you can support us in that mission. Go to AmericanLibertyAwards.com, AmericanLibertyAwards.com, and look for Vote Now. Vote now. The other thing you should be voting for, especially if you are listening from Australia, is to ensure that the government knows how upset you are about Ministry of Truth proposals. I'll talk about this further with John Ruddick next hour on the program, and I'll have something to say straight after the news, and don't miss it, because I've kind of come to the realisation as to why we don't hear from the opposition leader, Peter Dutton, about how bad these laws are that will be handed to the Communication and Media Authority if we don't watch out. So I'll tell you about that straight after the news. But you can simply Google Department of Infrastructure, the Australian Government, Department of Infrastructure, Transport, Regional Development. Just put Department of Infrastructure. If you go to their main website, you can find ACMA Powers, ACMA, ACMA Powers, and you can lodge your submission, as so many people have done, as Rebecca Barnett told us yesterday she had done when she was on the program. So do that, please. We've got to stop it. And I'll talk further about it next hour on the program. This is Chris Smith. News coming up on TNT Radio.